that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade. Be the talk of that promenade. Looking for a star drifter, not a shapeshifter. Lots to do and more to see. Sweet sticks from a jump tree. Oh, oddities, opportunities. Free advice, but not for cheapo gambling wheels. Shaded deals. Meet me back here tomorrow, please. We're gonna walk that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade.
Hello and good evening for this Monday, March 25th, 2024. Star Trek DS9 Season 7, Episode 18, Till Death Do Us Part is over. And it has been since April of 1999, but we're just getting started here 25 years later on Live Long and Podcast, a live stream review of this episode as we continue our journey to watch every episode of Star Trek DS9 and talk about it. Only got 8 left, including this one. Over the next hour, we'll be breaking down the plot. We'll be talking about all the great moments and the not so great moments, what we thought of it, and then ultimately rating the episode and looking ahead to the next one. I'm Dave Mader, joined tonight with Kevin Millard. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing great. It's weird that we're getting near these great end episodes and nobody wants to come and do them.
Yeah, it's just you and me. Are the other panelists, Jody, Adam, Jaemeel, Jeff, Davan, not here. Where are they, Ashley? You know, they're all not rocking the promenade right now. You know, like Ducat.
We weren't invited. We had to go to work.
We had to go to work. You were not invited. I do not know. But we're here to talk about this episode, Till Death Do Us Part, which is the 168th episode of Deep Space Nine. You know, we're in this 9-part kind of finale, which is not ever a true to be continued, but it really every episode is sort of a cliffhanger, if not a soft cliffhanger. So so spoilers ahoy. We'll be talking all about this episode. And with that, let's get into it. So Kevin, Till Death Do Us Part. Of course, you've seen this before, as have I, but I don't know how recently you watched it. How was it for you?
It was good. Despite not too much actually happening in this episode, it's good because it sets the stage for what's to come, for the end of this show. And finally, we get the will they, won't they answered of Gul Dukat and Kai Wynn.
Yeah.
Yes, they will.
Because I think pairing them up for this finale was really smart choice by the writers. I think because I don't think they had any interactions previously, right, in the entire 7 seasons before the last episode, as far as I can remember.
I'm not sure, maybe once, but they were not together often, that's for sure.
Yeah, not together often. So that was good. There, a lot of this episode is about the wedding of Sisko and Cassidy Yates, it's almost called off. It's called off and then brought back on. So we talking about that. Adam Woodward coming in to join us.
Hello.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Good evening. Hit it. Yeah. So we were just talking about this episode, a couple of things that happened into it, including a lot about the Sisko and Cassidy Yates, the will they won't they, the Gul Dukat and Kai Wynn of the will they won't they, and they definitely will. And I guess there's more Ezri and Worf on the Breen ship. We get some stuff with Damar and Weyoun and that kind of stuff. So, but this is kind of part 2 of this 9-part finale, Adam. So how are you feeling?
Man, this was a very long bridge episode. Yes, I was drifting through it, Dave. I'm not going to lie to you.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Be honest.
It was like the Ezri story, which I enjoyed so much last week, actually annoyed me this week.
Go on. What was annoying for you about it?
Oh, her dreaming of Julian, my least favorite Deep Space Nine character.
Yeah. like I okay, so I think we've told you kind of already that they are going to end up sort of together by the end of this, Ezri and Julian. But it still doesn't make any sense to me. Like
It doesn't make any sense to her. She doesn't even realize it.
It's not so much that like I have a problem with like the Ezri Julian of things. It's more like this retconning. They're like, well, really, if it hadn't been Worf, it would have been Julian, and this is just sort of picking up that old flame. And I still reject that as sort of a premise that the writers are trying to sort of retcon into this. But
did you guys find like Worf and this is where sometimes I kind of see Jody's point in the anti-Worf sentiment he has is he doesn't grow as a character. He acts like a child in this episode, like a schoolboy who's being like dumped by his girlfriend or something. It's ridiculous.
You talking about Worf?
Yes.
Yeah. Worf. This isn't a great Worf episode for me either. He doesn't come across very well in it. The whole
he comes across like Worf. He's like this all the time.
Yeah, he is, but like I don't know. Like there's some. I think the more the plot line I'm most disappointed with in the episode is the Sisko Cassidy Yates.
Yeah, okay. On that one, like they're on, they're off, they're on, they're like I can't take it. Like it is wild.
Right, and they were gonna have this big wedding, and then all of a sudden it's a small wedding. And they're not. Why are they not looking for Ezri and Worf? Is also, I guess.
That's another thing. Like, what the hell? Like every other person who gets missing from that station, they're on it. There's like crews out
on it.
for them.
Like as far as they know, Ezri went to the Badlands with a runabout against the orders to find Worf. She says, "Okay, guys, hey, I did find Worf after many hours." They say we're headed back, and then they disappear. Right? That's what happened.
Yes.
And they acknowledged it, Dave. They all acknowledged that she's gone.
They're like, well, they're probably just held up. Held up doing what?
You're in the middle of a war. What do you think they're held up with?
Yeah, like it's just because they spent a couple nights on that planet, or at least one night on that planet before.
Yeah, but in this episode, they're talking like they've been on this ship for like days now. Like they're traveling.
Midway through the episode,
days,
it's probably like a week by the time when Ezri left to where we caught up to. And it's just kind of bizarre to me that they're not looking for them. They're not very like, oh well, they didn't make the wedding. Well, oh well. And so and then I guess the other thing too with it is that the Breen have joined forces with the Dominion, which I think is like a fun little addition into this final 9-part story. Just because the Breen are this very mysterious race we've only seen a couple times in the show before. I do have a couple issues there where like Worf says no one's ever seen a Breen. I'm like, why? Like, I guess what they look like under the suits. Like I remember when Dukat and Kira rescued Torziel from like that camp. It was run by the Breen, and we see that like Kira and Dukat ended up taking those suits off Breen guards. So presumably they saw what they looked like when they took their suits, But I don't know. There's just whatever here. So a couple of things. Let's get into it and look at the screenshots and walk through the plot of this episode. Shouldn't take us too long. There's only a handful of scenes. What else? Leave us a comment here if you want to like pipe in. We got the live stream going here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Sam just wants to remind us that Worf is a deadbeat dad. Well, maybe, but he does call out for his son's name in this episode.
Alexander!
Yeah, but he's accusing him of something. That's disapproval.
Approval. Yeah, without honor.
These Breen are without honor.
Yeah. All right. But so the episode starts, guys, with Jake Sisko talking to Ben Sisko. What do you mean the prophets told you couldn't get married to Cassidy Yates?
Oh, can we just stop right here before we even get to this story? What is Jake's role in this show now?
He's the son of Ben Sisko.
I know that. Got that. But what's he do?
That's it.
Okay. That's right.
He has no actual job to do. They seem to have given up on this idea that he's like a reporter or like he's somehow like sending back the stories. That's all sort of fallen off in this final season. And so he just seems to come across as this guy who lives on the station and I don't know, plays dumb job, maybe works on his novel. I don't know. Like he just kind of chills out, right? Like he's grown up, but he's also, I guess, the best man for this wedding, and he's trying to talk to his dad about this issue, you know. I like those Bajorn candles on the desk. I'm not sure what those are about. But yeah, anyway, but you know, like they have a little chat about this whole what's been going on with the prophets telling Cisco, don't get married to Cassie Yates, you will know nothing but sorrow. So Jake leaves, and guess who shows up? Kai Wid, our old favorite Karen extraordinaire.
Yes, that's it, Dave. Karen, she's driving me crazy.
She's the queen of the Karens. Patience child.
I love her.
She's
Why?
an amazing
this character.
Amazing villain. Amazing
because
villain.
she's so bad. Like she's such a villain, and I think she's great. Just one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah, like not from like I wouldn't like her in real life, Adam. But
no, she would be horrible.
Yeah. But I enjoy her as a villainous, ongoing antagonist. Like, you know, who, especially how she does everything through like a sort of a pleasant smile, how she's always like sort of this fake person, you know, but has a lot of resentment for the emissary.
But also they don't present her as just ambitious and just like this naked ambition that she's driven to get what she wants. She also is a believer. Like she's not callous about her religion.
So you're right. And listen, she is the ultimate villain. Going back, I knew her. I didn't look last night when I was watching this. But
Louise
Fletcher,
Louise Fletcher,
Nurse Ratchet.
It's Nurse Ratchet, yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. That's why I find her so annoying.
Yeah.
She plays that role brilliantly.
She plays a bad guy very well. I think she passed away this past year, if I'm not mistaken.
22. She passed away in 22.
Yeah. So 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, so she very great performance. And she's really like through this whole show. She's like, they introduce her in like the end of season 1. And here she is in like the end of season 7. Right. So like, hey, like hats off to them. Or even little funny Kai hats off to them. You know, with especially, and same thing with like Golden Kai. They have some like really interesting antagonists who have really kind of been throughout all 7 seasons of the show. Something that the other shows don't have at all. Like, I don't think another Star Trek series, maybe Q and Next Generation is the closest version of that you can point to, but he's not even a true villain. So, you know, so I think, but Kai Wisdom was like, hey, I know you asked the local Ranjin, the local priest, to do the wedding, but I will do the wedding for you. You probably thought I was too busy, you know, and Cisco does not look too excited by that prospect. And then she leaves. Leaving the Cisco, you know, but then as she's going down, Kira's like, oh, you want me to show you your quarters? Oh, yes, child. And then she has a vision. You know, she believes she's being spoken to by the prophets, but she's not. Did you pick up on this, Adam?
I did. Yeah.
Who's she talking to?
Who is she talking to? I guess maybe I didn't.
The Pare.
Oh, yeah.
Who are also prophets. Jody Simpson coming in and joining us at the 1340 mark.
Jody, I just cut up Worf, just so you know.
Good. I'm glad that you took over in my absence.
But the prophets tell the Kai, the Cisco is faltered. Look out for the man with who likes to look out for the farmer guy. He's coming. He's going to come talk to you. The man of the earth or something. She's like, I know how they were always like above her and looking down on her. Some interesting camera angles were used here. But she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then the vision ends. And she's never been spoken to by the prophets before. And this is a big deal for her, even if it's the evil prophets. And that is the teaser for the episode. So since Jody's coming in, Jody, let's check in with you. How are you feeling about this episode? Till Death Do Us Part.
Well, any episode with Kai in it, I'm not a big fan of, but you know what? It's not a bad episode. I wouldn't say it's not even in my top 20, but it's slightly above mediocre for me.
Slightly above medium.
I guess that's
Well,
what it
you
is.
know, I've heard worse things, so we'll go in. Did you have a favorite or least favorite storyline that we're about to get into? Is it the one with the Kai and Ducat, or is it the one with Cassidy and Cisco?
Well, the Cassidy and Cisco one, it's just, you know, it's your typical do they, will they, won't they kind of thing. But it's, I don't know, the Kai, anything with Kai, I absolutely hate. I just, that character drives me mental.
Sam wants to know if this episode's better than Assignment Earth.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Is that like the criteria? Do we just like check that for every single episode now, or
Sam.
that's how Sam gauges how good or bad something is.
we should have a column on our thing that just says, "Is this better than Assignment Earth?"
Assignment Earth.
Well, most actually, I liked Assignment Earth, but
Yeah. So
did I.
Famously, Jody and I did not like it, and a couple others did. Yes. Okay, but let's get back to the episode. The episode called "Till Death Do Us Part." Now, the previous episode was called Penumbra. I'm sure this will come up in the fun facts, but I just want to, you know, they originally were going to call this Umbra, but I guess this has a wedding in it. They chose to do it differently. We get another shot here of that Breen ship that was introduced in the previous episode. We got a few shots of it in, you know, flying through space in this episode. Really cool, interesting design. I really liked looking at it here in like the high def version. So just a little shout out to that as we catch up with our characters. Worf and Ezri trapped on the ship. Worf trying to escape. Ezri says nothing's working, and Worf says, "Well, what do you want me to do? Like, not try to escape?" You know, he was, you know. Then the Breen show up.
emo Worf.
Emo Worf. Well, they were both being emo, if you ask me.
Yeah, they will.
And then the Breen guards show up to give them their food, which apparently is algae paste. Maybe not nutritious.
Well,
maybe
it's
not
still better
delicious.
than those biscuits that they serve Picard.
True.
Remember
So
those red puck things? Yeah.
Considering the Breen are supposed to be so scary, did any of you find the way they move to be just comical? Like,
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, like they don't feel scary. Like,
No.
you know, like I get it's more their ships do. Like their ships are more intimidating, but like them as like just fighting them hand to hand, I don't think like I would be that scared of them.
not that I like to do the comparison to Star Wars, but they look
totally
like the
Star
uniform from where Princess Leia was, you know, dressed in Jabba the Hutt's lair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're these are apparently like a type of environmental suit, which, you know, they're very cold on the inside.
This costume is phoned in. Like this is so terrible.
Well, they introduced it
They're
like
painter's overalls and a vest that looks like that thing from Star Wars. Okay,
I don't dislike it. Maybe I would maybe change up the coloring on some things, but like it's not that. It's like I like the helmet. Oh, oops, my earbuds. So anyway, but we'll get some other shots here of the Breen, as they drop off their thing. LG paste, yeah. And then there's more of here. Like Worf's like, "Whoa, I guess we're gonna get married, Ezri." You know, because we I don't know, there's tension here. You're not like Jadzia. Did they start talking about the dreams yet, or is that later?
That's later.
That's later when she has her first dream.
Right. But like you feel like this awkwardness that like these two are not going to be a long-term relationship, Ezri and Worf. We go over to
Say it ain't so, Dave.
I'm saying it. Then over on Cardassia, we catch up with Damar, who's got the bottle still in his hand the next morning, as Wayoon goes to check in on him. You know, he says, "Oh, I see you were this look from Damar when he wakes up. It looks like a zombie like rising out of the
It almost
grave.
looks like those gray aliens from the original series.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
like Bub from Day of the Dead or something. I'm getting involved.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
They live.
yeah. You know, apparently, I guess Damar had some lady friends over the night before, as and left their clothes behind. I guess
As one does.
as one does. Which would, you know, and then Wayoon's here to tell him we're going on a trip. We're going we're taking a ride somewhere, and he's like, to where? I'm not telling you. So he goes, get cleaned up, Damar. We're going on a ship. And then Damar immediately starts trying to pound the bottle, but then this look he has in the mirror is, you know, maybe one of my favorite moments in the episode, where he goes, he kind of hesitates, doesn't like what he sees, and then he just, eventually starts drinking the booze anyway, and just, continue with this self-destructive behavior. Then there's a bit of a time jump here, and we catch up with Dukat, who Weyoun mentioned he knows is here, but doesn't really care what Dukat's up to or not up to. And we see that Dukat's here touching the Kanar bottles, as Damar is helping him get on his way so he can continue on to his mission. And Dukat grabs Damar and says, "Pull yourself together, man. You're the leader of the Cardassian people.
Cardassia needs a leader." I actually really like this speech. It's like,
it is good.
Oh my God, Dukat can be inspiring at times,
right? And Dukat and Damar tries to say well, why don't you come back? I never wanted to be the leader. You were the leader, and all this. And he was like, "No, I love the PA race now." So it's that's what and Dukat, as we've talked about, truly is fully invested. He's the emissary of the PA race, for better or worse. He's totally in on this commitment. So he's been changed as well, and this will, I believe, be the last time these two characters ever interact, or ever see each other again. So it's not a bad moment, I thought. It's almost like, because they're both bad guys, but I almost felt for them. I was like, oh, these bad guys have a connection. We have a history with these two. They talked about the days where they were taking on the whole Klingon Empire with the one ship and those things.
Simpler times.
Got to take on the Klingon Empire.
Yeah, simpler times, which is like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. So, but it is what it is. So anyway, they say goodbye, and then we go over to Deep Space Nine, where we see Dukat arriving on the promenade. Who would ever recognize him, though?
That actually is the one thing in the scenes coming up that I'm like, there is no way Kai Wynn does not recognize his voice. He was the head of the occupation.
Right. His face is incredibly famous in the Bajoran system. Not even just the Bajoran system, but the entire quadrant, because he's been the leader of the Cardassian government. It's and not even that, it's wartime, guys. And why wouldn't the Cardassians and the Dominion surgically alter people and send them as infiltrators? Wouldn't they be looking out for this?
Apparently not.
Oh, they should.
Where's Section 31? Where's Starfleet intelligence?
They're busy.
They're busy.
They're in Julian's bedroom.
Yeah. They're in Julian's bedroom.
Stealing his teddy bear or whatever, hiding Kukalaga. So anyway, then we get a scene here with Sisko and Cassidy. He's kind of withdrawn as Cassidy's planning, her wedding dress or whatever, this Bajoran shawl thing that they're supposed to wear. It's supposed to bring you good luck. So Sisko kind of hits her with the news. Prophet said we can't get married. It's going to bring nothing but sorrow. And Cassidy seems more or less okay with this, as long as he's okay with this. But he's like, I can't go against the prophets. They're the boss. I
can't go against the prophets.
And so she says, okay, well, if you can't go against the prophets,
do you think that she actually understands him, or is she just disappointed in him?
I think she's just disappointed. I don't think she's totally in for this prophet stuff, this emissary stuff. I think she begrudgingly accepts it, like a lot of the Starfleet officers do, like Admiral Ross does, but she's not fully embracing it, and just like Jake. I don't think Jake's into it either. Like when he nearly died, with those visions from Valhalla. He was here,
Go.
I don't know who Jake is.
He's like in this episode in 2 scenes. Like you got.
Oh, okay.
Come on, that's a lot for him. Anyway, but so she leaves behind that ring, which I guess he gave her from like his little fake house thing that he gave her in the last episode, and she just walks out and says, "See ya," and he kind of lets her leave.
He's like, "I'm gonna go serve on the Orville."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he lets her walk out. Back on the Breen ship, we see here that Esri is having her nightmare, right? And this is where, he was like, dreams don't matter. Worf says, the dreams are better to ignore them. And she's like, you don't get me at all. I'm a therapist. I'm a counselor. Like, how can you not, like, interpreting dreams very significant? But Worf's like, Jadzia never talked about dreams. And this pisses Ezri off. Because she's
this
not
is like
her.
a perfect rendition of this scene.
It
Like,
really is. Yeah.
Did you practice this?
His is actually more enjoyable than the actual scene.
This is what I
actually,
remember.
I'm going to give this podcast a 10 because Dave's doing such a great job.
But then the Breen
out of
show
10
up,
for Dave.
guys. The Breen show up, and they shock them with with stun guns, basically, and drag Worf off. And Ezra's like, "Where are you taking him? Oh no!" But then I'm so much pain. And then that's it. That's that scene. So then the next scene, back on the station, is it's at Kai Wid's little quarters here as she's doing her little prayers.
And just then punch Kai in the face every time I see her.
Oh, well, that's the point. And then the Ranjin
And
shows
that's
up.
why I love her.
Do you love her, like her assistant guy here, the Ranjin with the purple?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's fun. He's like, there's somebody here to see you. I didn't know you could just like show up at the Kai's door and see her.
She's essentially a minister. Like
she's like the Pope.
She's kind of like a Pope.
She's from a planet of.
She doesn't even have a car with those window things.
She's the leader of the entire religious. Like, this is pretty much the religion of the entire Bajoran people, and there are billions of them.
But the Bajorans don't matter.
Well, I don't got a counter to that. So anyway, so Dukat is here again. Like, we have to suspend disbelief, but we'll find, like, a little bit of a spoiler here. Adam is like the purple Ranjin guy. He's going to figure out that this is Dukat. And we're all like, whoa, why did you figure it out?
Out of everybody that's run into him, that's the one that's going to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, he's playing the part of like this kind of like simple farmer guy from Kendra province who just wants a blessing. But he says a couple things here that get the Kai to go, oh, but maybe this is what the prophets were telling me in my vision. It's like about this guy who was a man of the earth and something or other, which is what the Pa Race had set up. I guess the Pa Race told Dukat all this, and he's like, okay, you're gonna hit on this and this and this, and then she's gonna do this. Even like your Pa is strong, she says. And this is the forging of this new evil alliance between Kai Wynn and Dukat. But bit of a time jump, and then I think they start having like tea or dinner. I guess it's tea. This Ranjin guy hates this Dukat. I guess he hasn't put it together that it's Dukat yet, but he just doesn't like him right almost from the get. They through a conversation, they start talking. Yeah, this is where she figures out that he's like the guide or whatever. I think it is. She's like, you're my guide, the one the prophets told me was coming, but I'm a simple farmer. How can this be happening? He says. So it's a con. He's working the con here. I like these scenes. I think they're some of the best parts of this episode. I would agree. Is the Kai and Dukat. Then we got a scene here with Sisko and Kira in Sisko's office where she's like, so the chief's trying to fix all the ships, and Sisko says, not good enough, damn it, not good enough. You got to get the ships going. I told Martok he could have a bird of prey, and she's like, well, they're working 26 hours a day. What do you want me to do? Exactly. Well, do better. But eventually he kind of spills the beans here to Kira. Well, the prophets came and told me I got married to Cassidy. It's going to bring me nothing but sorrow, and it's going to be bad. And she goes, oh, well, that's that then.
Yeah. Everybody's just so accepting of this. Like it's
especially Kira.
She was like, well, you're obviously not going to go against the prophets, so we're done here.
I guess that's that story, and
so we good. All right.
Yeah. And Sisko's like, well, I'm not so sure. What about my Cassidy? And Kira's just like, you don't go against the prophets, which I had to pull.
Go against the prophets.
I wouldn't go against the prophets. Anyway, she leaves. I don't know. Yeah, but he's kind of like, well, it's my life and I'm a human. And Kira doesn't want to hear it. Kira will be a a wet blanket when we get to the actual wedding later on in the episode, but we'll touch on that then. On a Jem'Hadar ship, heading towards parts unknown. We catch up here with Weyoun and the Jem'Hadar and the founder, who's again very sick with this changeling disease. This scene's pretty quick here. It's mostly about how the founder is don't trust the Cardassians, I think she says. She
doesn't like Damar.
She doesn't like Damar. Don't tell the Cardassians too much. And that's about it, really. She's kind of in and out here. And then back on the Breen ship, Worf is having some issues after he was interrogated by the Breen. He's kind of yelling out random memories about Jedzia, Alexander, and whatnot. And then he eventually sort of comes, gets back, but he's kind of, grumpy. He goes, they were trying to probe my mind, my memories. So, I wonder what they wanted. He goes like, I don't know. Like, what do you,
I do not know.
I do not know, is how he says it.
I need to go sit in a corner and listen to some of My Chemical Romance.
Right, exactly. Some Klingon acid punk, perhaps.
Yeah.
Opera.
Swedish throat metal.
But then the Breens show up and they do their stun gun thing again, and Worf's just like convulsing on the floor after this, and they kind of drag off Ezri here for her interrogation next. And Worf's just like he's helpless to help her. He's just lying on the floor twitching. Back here with Kai Wynn and Dukat, who are enjoying some spring wine. It tastes so good, he says. Well, she's like, I was going to give this bottle to the emissary for his wedding, but, whatevs.
So I'll just give it to a farmer that I just met.
This guy doesn't met, right? But she's pouring it down. They're enjoying the spring wine. And
they've obviously never tried Chateau Picard.
Trying to remember what the substance of this conversation was. Is this where he was talking about the story about how he was going to die during the occupation? He makes up this whole fabrication.
Yes.
Yeah. It's this whole thing of I was accused and they were going to send me to die, but then I got diverted. And she kind of goes, well, I was actually the one who diverted that shuttle so that, to a labor camp so that you wouldn't be executed. And he was like, whoa, you saved my life. What a coincidence. This is all part of the con, and she's completely duped by all this. And so, Dukat's like, we've been touched by the prophets themselves.
So stupid. How does she get this far in life?
I don't know if I have an answer to that.
Yeah.
She was kind of like that, she's like that very conservative nun type, right? But like,
yeah.
This guy coming along, she never dealt with a con artist before. I don't know. So Dukat's going, and then she kind of pulls her hands away from Dukat. I don't know if Kai's take a vow of celibacy. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you see Dukat, he's got like that thing in his eyes where he's like, oh, it's working. I'm working her here. It's just the next phase. She's eating it up completely. We catch up with sad Cisco, emo Cisco, you might call him, back in his quarters, looking at his fake house that I guess Cassie's not going to live in as of right now. And then Quark shows up.
He can still live there.
He can still live there. He still bought the land. With what money is never clear. But apparently
he's the emissary. He doesn't need money.
I guess he doesn't need money. Well, Quark definitely says you need money for this because Quark shows to give him the wedding ring, which is apparently a very rare, expensive diamond from some alien planet. Non-refundable. Sorry, Captain Cisco. And so and Quark's about to leave, and then he kind of turns around and says, it's a shame to let something go waste here. What are you doing, right? So he kind of gives Cisco sort of like, you may want to rethink this, kind of a speech in an indirect, not too over the top way. And then Cisco goes back to sort of being emo Cisco in that scene. Back on the Breen ship. Ezri's brought back by the Breen. She's having a rough one, Worf's carrying her over here, and she's saying things like, I love you. She's talking about Duran. She's talking about a whole bunch of things. Every solo episode that Ezri got this season is pretty much talked about in this next little ramble she gives. And then she goes, I love you. But then she says, Julian, Dr. Bashir. And Worf's like, what? You know?
Dr. Bashir.
Now
is
he cares
great.
about the dreams. Now he's caring about the dreams.
Now he's caring about these dreams. So we'll catch up with that in a minute. Back here in Kai Wynn's quarters, she just can't get any rest, guys. She's having a sleepless night. Just thinking about that man grabbing her hands and talking about their connection. But then there's someone here to see you, and in the middle of the night, Eminence. It's urgent, and it's Goldacott, whatever his Bajorn fake name is, I can't remember. But he shows up here in the middle of the night. Apparently, you can just show up and insist to talk to the Kai, and that's enough. So,
and this poor bastard's got to get out of bed and bring him to the Kai.
Yeah. Right.
So what's the protocol here? You go knock on that guy's door, and then you can get an audience, or what? Like,
yeah, you must
I
have to
guess.
go. You have to go through him to get to her, right? There's no direct line here. But this guy's pretty lax in letting pretty much anybody come. Instead of saying like, maybe you come back in the morning, he doesn't do that. You know, we don't see this their conversation, so maybe Ducat was very convincing. I don't know. But he said, he says he tells a story about his brother planting this field, and it's sprouting up way ahead of schedule. It must be a sign from the prophets, the gods. To which the Kai agrees. And by the end of this, like they are, he's grabbing her face, he's getting into it, and she's like, "Yeah, you can stay. Let's get it on." And they do. And that's that, guys. Unholy union. All right.
that was sort of an abrupt, abrupt closing to that.
It is a bit of a, but don't worry, we'll catch up with them again in the next episode. So then we go over to Cassidy Yates, and she's getting ready to go on a cargo run. She's ready to leave this deadbeat Cisco behind. Forget him. He's all about his profits. But he shows up and goes, "Hey, I changed my mind. Let's get married anyway." And she's like, I wish she had just been like, "Screw you." I wish like that had been like the response here. But she's like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." Like the fact that he was almost willing to call this off for that, I don't know. Maybe she should have pushed back a little more, but she's not going to. They're on their way.
She's used to him. This is his thing. Like he's back and forth on everything.
True.
In his relationships, right?
Yeah, that's true. And so they all show up here in the boardroom. Not even in dress uniforms, guys. Like what the hell? Not even time to change into a dress uniform.
Quark is. And
Quark
Jake.
Is. Jake dressed up, and like,
oh, there's Jake.
Yeah, he's here. They're handing out the champagne. Kira is not happy that this is going ahead without prophet approval. I love how Quark tries to give Odo a champagne at one point, and Odo just goes like, "What are you doing? Like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, I don't drink champagne." But Nog does. Anyway. Kira not too happy, guys. Odo said, "I'm usually the one you have to tell me to smile when I go into these things." Nog on the whistle. He had to learn the whistle thing. They didn't have like another officer that could have done the whistle who would be trained in the ways of the whistle. I get let Nog do it, whatever. And then Cassidy shows up.
Nog, are you?
Now it's very wrinkly, this dress, guys, that Cassidy's got going. I think they could.
They're in a hurry. There's no time to iron.
There's no time. Like Garrick's not here to tailor a good dress, and like that's missing. I thought like it would have been fun to have like even Lita and Rom here in this scene. Like other characters that should be available, but they're just not here. Anyway, so and Admiral Ross, you remember him, the Section 31 collaborator, the one who helped get that Romulan woman put behind bars, maybe even executed. Well, he's here. The good old Bill Ross.
This
Section
is the
31 and stand-in
scene, where all these admirals and captains goes, one duty that I really enjoy performing as captain or admiral or whoever is the marriage vows. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the same speech they took from Balance of Terror, and then they did in all the other subsequent Star Trek weddings. It's always a version of this. He says he says himself as a commanding officer, not as a like a captain, because of course he's not a captain anymore. And the ceremony is kind of, I don't know, I think it lacks a little bit of oomph. quite
It
frankly.
lacks Elvis impersonators for sure.
I think this wedding's a little forgettable. It lacks an Elvis impersonator. It lacks where Cisco's dad. Could you not have even put him on the screen? You know,
That's a good point.
They don't have the technology.
They don't have the subspace communication.
They can't even monitor a bloody security area.
They can't even do this like as a virtual wedding, you know, like where they broadcast it to the masses. But no, anyway, so they do the rings, and as Cisco's getting ready to put his one on Cassidy, the prophets call. His mom calls, guys, Sarah, and she's like, "This is going to be bad. Don't do it." You know, and he's like, "I'm a man. I gotta do it. And Cassidy is cool, and I like her." You know, and she's like, "Well, it's you don't have a choice. You can't do this. This is bad. Don't marry her." Grabs his head. She tries to comfort him and says, "Well, if you're gonna do it, I can't protect you. Sorry." And he's like, "Cool." And that's that. And then back to the ceremony where Cisco's frozen for a second. They should by now they should kind of know what's happening. That the prophets call it. Prophets are calling, guys. Like, give them a second. You know, I know they're not linear, but they always seem to like pause them for a couple seconds. And then he goes, "Okay, I'm back. Let's finish this," and gets married. It's crazy that Dax isn't even present for this. Like, just whatever. I feel like, you know, they could have done this later.
He's not that close with Ezri. All right, it's
Dax.
Ezri's not his favorite Dax though.
No, she's nobody's favorite Dax.
She's barely being there. Like she's, you know. So let's.
But he's not going back to Curzon. Like that's one of his oldest friends, right? You know, so
he just had to get married. Like it was done.
It was like a shotgun fast elope kind of style wedding.
Before I change my mind again, let's get it done.
Yeah,
let's just do it before. Yeah, you can't change your mind after.
He didn't want to lose the money on the ring. Come on, guys.
I think it was
That's
about
right.
the money on the ring.
It was Quark's conversation that pushed him over the edge. Holy crap!
Right.
You're right. I gotta get this done.
that's the way that's the way they presented it.
Kind of,
Pretty
yeah.
much,
The there's two, don't let this get away and non-refundable. You know, the two things that kind of push Cisco over. You know, he's like, okay, non-refundable. Anyway, Damar shows
Ferengies aren't romantic.
the next scene was on the the Jem'Hadar ship where Ducat's Damar demands we tell him where we're going. Where are we going? I deserve to know. You know, he's like, I was just about to come and tell you, Damar. I totally was. Jake's a Pokemon.
I do like that.
I feel like Sirach Lofton was maybe going to university at the time, and that's why he's so little in this. But I don't know. Maybe
yeah, that's another good point. Cisco's sister isn't there either.
He's got a couple sisters. You know. So anyway,
Was he?
like,
Oh, I thought he only.
I think so. It's never. I think he's got at least a few siblings. Yeah. Anyway, so he tells Damar, "I'm totally. You are going to like when we tell you what's up in this episode and where we're headed." And then we get to the Breen ship where Worf's really mad at Ezri for saying Dr. Bashir's name. You know, he's like, who? He's like, you're in love with him. At least she's not in love with Quark. That would have been even weird.
Worf is the worst. That's all there is to know.
Well, why is he the worst?
He's so terrible. Especially in DS9.
I don't have a problem with anything he says here, honestly. Like he's like, you know, he thought that they were going to get back together, and they don't.
Terrible at security.
So she wants Bashir because, of course, he's the better guy for her. And then the Breen show up, being all scary or not so scary, depending on who you ask. Doing their little Breen talk. What do you think of like the Breen language?
It's much more in these episodes. I hate it for one. I hate it. I hate every moment of it. But in these episodes, it seems quieter than like when he's talking to the founder in the last few episodes.
Yeah, well, it's just meant to be like a scrambled voice, and we're just meant to believe that they can understand this, I guess. With like, I don't really know why they don't have like a translator or something, or even subtitles, but they never give us any of that. Anyway, so then so the Breen are here, And then we get beamed over and with Worf, the Breen, and Ezri. And guess who's here? Weyoon. At last we meet my friend. And he brought them some gifts, and it's shown, Ezri and Worf. He's like, this is great. You guys get to see the union of the Breen and the Dominion. What a happy day it truly is. I love the Weyoon character. I love every time he
and he says that certainly changes things, doesn't it?
that certainly changes things, Worf's just like, shoot, this sucks. Yeah, just like this smirk he has right here at the end, right before the credits. Anyway, so that's the episode in terms of us hitting all the plot points.
That was the worst ending ever. It's just, I
don't know. Enterprise has had some pretty good shitty endings.
True. Like you remember some of those in the Zindi arc were kind of like, ended on those little.
But at least they.
But I agree, it's a terrible ending.
This needs it needs a part 2 right now. It wasn't done.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, and you're gonna feel this, I think, at the end of the next episode, and the one after that, and the one after that.
Pretty much this entire arc is gonna be
because they tried to have like a cliffhanger at the end of every episode, right, leading into this finale. So, I like last week was what I guess about the prophets like saying don't get married, right?
Yeah,
and that was kind of like the big thing. Don't get married. And then here in this one is the Breen have teamed up with the Dominion, and it's a whole new ball game. That's I don't mind that, like that's, but it's it was not something typical for Star Trek. Normally, Star Trek episodes kind of wrap up nice and tidy, but that's not what we're going to be getting for these next 8 weeks until the finale. I guess then it wraps up. Question here from Norman. What does it say? Do the Breen evade the universal translator? I suppose so, but then. Why can Weyoon and others understand him?
I know that there is an uncanon thing that basically says the Breen are like essentially like the Zindi, like they're a whole bunch of different races put together.
Okay,
and that's why supposedly the bounty hunter outfit from Star Wars and this is so similar because they could have been Breen. In Star Wars.
I see. All right. Well,
I think we're really grasping at things here, but
Adam, what kind of fun facts would you like to share with us?
Well, I'm just going to say let's just call them facts tonight because
not so fun facts with Adam.
Thank you. Okay,
no problem.
Okay, Solbar was only intended to be a minor character to begin with, but the producers were so impressed with James Otis and what he brought into the pirate sequence and his role was expanded.
The Ranjan?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. He's good. He's a good actor. Yeah.
He's good going forward too. He's
he's salty.
This episode, as you said, was originally titled Umbra, which is the deep shadow of an area of a deep shadow. This was a follow from last week, which was Penumbra, which is the half shadow. They should have done that. That would have been more interesting, more fun.
Yeah.
Worf's claim that no one had seen beneath Breen's helmet and lived to tell about it seems to be contradicting the episode Indiscretion in 1995, where Kira and Dukat knocked out 2 Breen guards and take their uniforms, including their helmets.
Correct. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, they're Mandalorians then.
Yeah. And what like it doesn't make sense that nobody has seen one Breen helmet in all the time they've known the Breen. It's
we know the Klingons and their storytelling and the embellishing.
True.
And that's what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the episode is the only time that Sarah refers to Sisko as her son. Okay.
Yeah. Are you guys liking this, Sarah?
No,
I'm not either.
Kai Wynn's guest quarters are a redress of Dr. Bashir's quarters.
Okay.
Yeah. Casey Biggs Damar is ex-husband of Roxanne Dawson, who played B'Elanna Torres in Star Trek Voyager. Wow, that's kind of fun. Who knew that?
And they're both going to be on the cruise with us, Adam, so we can.
I know. I mean,
yeah.
All right. Okay, we talked about this week. Damar's in the Enterprise Blues brand. Okay, we're repeating now fun facts from last week, so let's move on.
Okay, sure. Let's go into the.
You're right. That wasn't fun.
No.
All right.
Just facts. It was
just facts.
It was just facts with Adam. It wasn't fun.
They were dry
Wait.
facts tonight.
The way you said no, you look traumatized. Like,
All right, well let's throw down our numbers, guys, and rate this episode. It's about there's a couple of funny beats in it. There's a couple of things I don't like. I'm gonna go 7.5 again. I'm just sort of like, I like it, but no, I don't love it. Jody.
I'm gonna have a hard time giving this more than a 6.5. So I think 6.5 is where I'm at.
Adam?
I'm guys, I hate to, I'm bored right now with this whole thing. So I'm giving this a 5.
Okay.
yeah, you seem salty today. You really didn't like this episode. It's
Well,
great.
there wasn't
It's
any
great.
fun facts to make him happy after.
There wasn't even a single fun fact.
Well, the Blonde Torres one was interesting. That was good. But
Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
Not enough to cheer you up though.
It wasn't fun though. That's the problem.
no, it's not fun.
Sam saying 7. Norman
would-
saying 6.8.
I'd also give it a 7.
Hashtag where's Jeff?
Hell if we know.
He's ordering a pizza.
And as for Davan, where Davan is, I can tell you he's probably rating something a 10.
This is an 11. This is better than 11, guys. Usually Adam is positive. Yeah, good point, Adam.
It's
Sam.
true. He is one of the more positive people here.
I am trying really hard, Sam, but no.
You don't have to. It's okay. Davan never gave us a rating, right? So, anyway, so we're averaging a 6.5 tonight, guys. So there's a bit of a dip here in this episode. And 7.4 on IMDb. So the fans like this just as much as last week's episode.
Really?
Just looking ahead to the next one. The next one's called Strange Bedfellows. It's written by Ronald D. Moore, so that's always a good sign, I think. And this is really just picking up like the Breen, or more with finding what's up with the Breen and the Dominion. We're gonna see more of Ducat and Kai Wynn, of course. I guess so. So the Breen and the Dominion being bedfellows, Kai Wynn and Ducat being strange bedfellows. We'll see, those things come up. Martok is going to show up in this next episode too, so that should be fun.
Until we get to like the changing phase of evil, it's going to be just kind of meh.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I can't really remember the next one so specifically. Anything else I'm missing? I think we can probably move on from this particular chapter here in Star Trek Deep Space
This
Nine.
has been our shortest podcast on this season so far. just to give you how much it sucked.
Well, I think that it's partly because this is one big ongoing storyline too, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like the Xindi was.
The Xindi arc was at least interesting, except for the Wild West episode.
Except for that, maybe. I don't know. Kevin, do you have a theory here? Are we being a little harsh on this, or are we?
This episode just sets up the rest of what's to come, and that's, I mean, you get that with any story. The middle episodes are usually a little bit of a drop off. Now, I don't know if this is a middle episode. This is the second one in the arc.
There's 3 middle episodes. The next one is the last.
Technically, we're in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's
The one after the next
like,
one is really good.
But like they're getting the Cisco wedding being so fast, it's out of the way. Like, and that's important.
You
But
like
it's just-
that.
Yes, that it's out of the way. I don't need we did the big wedding thing with
Worf
and Jadzia. We don't need it with Cisco and Cassidy.
True.
This is better.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, with that, we'll close the book here on Till Death Do Us part. We don't have to die, though, luckily. And what else we got going here on the network? Yesterday, we just had an interview on the channel with the writer of a new book. 1 second. I just want to make sure I get the title of it correct. Did you guys catch that interview?
No.
I did not.
So we were talking to
I was busy with puppies.
We were talking to Tom Selinsky yesterday. Davin and I were. He's the writer of a new book called Star Trek: Discovering the TV Series, the original series, the animated series, and the Next Generation, which apparently is the first of many books he's going to put out. Much like us, how he was like, I don't know enough about Star Trek. I'm going to watch every episode and think about them and rate them. He had a spreadsheet, guys, just like me. And from that, he went and watched all those shows and wrote a book. And all about what he learned about the process of going through that. You can check that out in the interview. You can pre-buy the book on in Canada, UK, USA. It's available everywhere.
So what is the book about? It's not a fictional book then. It's a
nonfiction book. It's about Star Trek. The discovery, like the process of learning more about Star Trek and what he really felt about all those characters.
Oh, okay, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It was a really good conversation as we were kind of getting talking about just the original series and him having been he was a lifelong fan of Star Trek, but he was like he realized there was so much he didn't know and didn't understand, so he wanted to really get more into it, and he did. So yeah, that was recently coming up not this weekend, but next weekend on Sunday, April 7th, we will be doing our next installment of Star Trek Radio Theater. We will be doing Conundrum, guys. The episode from Star Trek: The Next Generation's 5th season, where they all lose their memories. Jody's coming in to play Data. We got Adam playing Worf.
Whiny Worf.
Amnesiatic Worf. I'll be Rolaren.
That's gonna be awesome. So he was like, Worf was very, convinced that he was in charge. If I remember this episode,
right? Because he was decorated.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And Kevin to play Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
It's gonna be fantastic.
You just stay away from them ghosts, and you'll be okay.
I can't stay away from them. They can't stay away from me.
Those Howard women. Hey, Jaemeel.
That's right.
You missed the best.
What you guys don't know
ever.
is I'm a Howard woman.
Yeah, Jaemeel, we were just talking about how much we didn't like the episode. I liked it okay, but like not. I didn't love it. So
did you like that zoom into the brain when they opened up the security doors?
Yes, I did actually. I did like that zoom.
Yeah, the camera work was like something else on this episode.
You want to throw us a rating?
Yes. Can I give it 5.3?
Yes, sure can. Bringing down the rating to 6.3, guys. This is like Chimera level here. We're almost getting into.
This is bada bing, bada bang level.
Almost.
We're almost there.
Inching that way. This season, like our hope of like season 7 rising up even to like tie season 6 is probably shot.
There are still some good episodes.
You're gonna get Davan to come in and he's gonna throw a bunch of 10s.
A bunch of 10s to try to pull up that
war.
But yeah, so there it is. Okay. Do not light
Kevin, do not light that candle.
Do not light that candle.
Do not light that
candle. Light that candle.
Yeah. So look out for that on Star Trek Radio Theater. All the great podcasts we have here on the channel all the time. I
got 10 puppies, not one. But anyway. And to answer, it was a golden retriever.
It is a golden retriever.
Golden retriever. Where's my overlay? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, overlay.
I have to delete something. Okay, I'm deleting this. I can only have 100 overlays, guys.
Only 100.
Only 100.
Yeah.
Only.
Well, a lot of them are various.
I'm anticipating this now.
We got all our different divisions. We got the Command Division doing Star Trek TV movie reviews. The Gold Division doing like radio theater and other fun things like video games. We got the Science Division doing trivia and debates and different things. And of course, the Locutors of Trek who do the interviews and the long format podcasts and a lot of other fun activities. So,
why am I so big?
Are you
Christ?
if you really look at
close to that big,
Jody,
these are cartoons.
No, Jody, you have to understand the cartoon represents the broad shoulders that you have to support this entire channel.
If you really look at it, it looks like Adam could almost like eat Callie's head.
It's
like
true.
Oh my god, yeah. What did they do to us, Adam?
This is a fucking horror show.
They gets better and better, man.
I'm not
David's
body shaming anybody.
I agree. Not even that
Okay.
big anymore.
I don't. That's
Jody, it's the broad shoulders of your support.
That's okay. I can take it.
Well, on that note, also check out the other great content on the United Federation of Podcasts, all kinds of great shows like X-Rated and Aiming on Track and Hold Up, a movie review. And the newest members, we got Hey, Did You See This One? With Jason Phillips and Stephen Waters doing different movie reviews. I think they were doing like Freddy Krueger 5 today or something. So they, look out for all their great.
Isn't that Dream Warriors?
It
No,
might be, yeah.
3 is
Nightmare on Elm Street. I really mean. And Super Mario Brothers,
Dream
which is
Warriors,
right now
isn't it?
covering Survivor. And I think that's it for all of our different activities. With that, guys, we'll leave you tonight with a quote from this episode, which I think is maybe one of the better jokes in the episode. Live long and podcast, everyone. And we'll see you next time for Strange Bedfellows.
They were chasing me in an ice cave. And then one of them grabbed me with this huge claw. And then just when I thought he was about to kill me, he reached up and took off his helmet. And it was Julian.
Dr. Bashir.
Is that strange? I wonder what it meant.
Dr. Bashir is a brain.
See you next time, everybody.
Now let's get out of here.